You're listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
Now we're in the episode. We're deep into the episode. You have to recover. Start your story, please. I had to cut her off because she started telling me.
I'm recovering.
She started telling me, folks, about how, tell me again, babe, how you can't find a water bottle that doesn't drip on you. Right? Because you're like, I have been on a search for the past 15 years.
Like,
looking for a water bottle that doesn't spill all over me.
This is the Nigene. What are they called?
Nigenes.
Okay. Are they? Or okay, well,
Nalgenes.
those ones and the Contigos and Contigo. What are they?
Contigo.
All the ones,
all the water
right?
bottles.
So the lid always, like, it doesn't matter. I have dry threads. I make sure I screw it on. It always like drips.
Yes.
I get it. I used to like have one that I would put a paper towel on and hold and drink.
So that it wouldn't drip on
Yes.
you.
When I take the lid off, it doesn't matter. Then I sit there and I like tap it in even to make sure and hold it carefully so it's not coming from the lid. And somehow still water like drips. It accumulates. I want a water bottle that doesn't fucking drip on me.
Okay.
It's frustrating.
Should we get you a straw?
How am I going to do a straw in here?
You were doing that for a while, weren't you?
Well, yeah, but then the lid's always open. So
Didn't you find a straw that fit just right? What if we cut a straw that fits in there perfectly so you can still close the lid? And then when you open the lid,
so the lid has
right
a
there.
hole. That won't be hard with my dripping.
Not cut a hole in the lid. Cut the straw just perfect. So then you literally just have to pull the straw up a little bit.
The lid is flat, so I just have to. So I'm going to be like trying like a horse trying to get like an apple, like
yes.
trying to get my
I think we figured out how this search for
I need a
dripless
water bottle.
has one common denominator.
Okay, well, maybe it is my fault. So if anybody can help me find a water bottle that is, for me, help, because it's frustrating. If I drink any kind of like color
liquid,
liquid,
this one drips.
I
Same
would
water bottle.
love for it just to spill on you right now. I mean that with love. Did it drip?
Hold on, I have to test again. I don't think so. I think this one's actually the one and only.
Oh, it's gonna start dripping. It's gonna drip all down you. Okay, well, let's trade. Let's trade water bottles.
Okay.
Let's do that. Here we go. So here I am
Do you
walking
have
up the
all
stairs.
sorts of stuff in your water bottle?
I have water in my water bottle today. You're lucky it's safe.
Okay.
If yours drips on me, then we know it's me. And if mine drips on you, don't be careful. Drink it just like you did yours.
I'm going to.
No, you're not. You're already doing things different.
I drink mine a very specific way.
We'll get to it.
So are you ready? Drink it.
Yes. Yours didn't drip.
Yours didn't drip.
Bullshit. That's a dripper. Yours didn't drip.
Yeah. You want to keep it?
Mm-hmm.
It's yours.
It's my water bottle now.
Cool. I'll drink from yours.
There you go. Do it again.
Okay. This is riveting.
No, like,
especially if you're just tuning in and listening and you're not actually watching.
And it's
Go
like
to YouTube
there's
to see this
podcasts where people drink, and this is just what. See, it dripped. I saw it.
Where?
I watched it drip out. It is on your shirt. It dripped. It dripped. Did you feel it drip?
No.
Well, I saw it drip, so it is confirmed. I saw it. It dripped.
It's a dripper.
It is a dripper. You can have yours back.
She's a wet one.
Maybe that's the problem.
Okay. Into the podcast episode now.
The podcast, into the episode.
Yes.
I'm uncomfortable.
Okay. How do you want to get comfortable?
I didn't know. I'm just going to have to deal with it.
You gave me a heads up that there was something on our list that might be triggering because of all the emotional healing / vomiting that I've been doing the last couple of days. But let's go for it. I didn't even look at it. But I'm trusting you.
Well, we have lots of things on our list, and maybe that's not what I want to get into. I put that on the list.
What is it, first and foremost?
Because of how it affected, like how I resonated with it. And I realized also that I could see it. And then we went through some stuff, and I'm like, oof.
See it in me?
Yeah.
What is it?
I can see it in lots of people. It was a thing going around. I don't remember where I heard it, but it made me think it. I'm like, wow, there
So if you see it in a lot of people, then it's probably a good thing to talk about.
Okay, well, I was kind of liking the way this, I was like, are we going to have a fun episode?
Maybe.
This isn't fun. This is like Jurassic Park fun. It's like, ooh, and then there's running and screaming. That's the level.
Here, fix the back of your hair.
Oh,
You
is
got
it
a
doing
little
anything?
flyaways back there.
Yeah, probably. How is it now?
Looks good.
Yeah?
Seriously, what is the thing? Let's get into it.
You didn't buy in.
I bought in.
And then, okay. Okay, so my notes on this are a little longer.
Okay.
So it's like, as an adult, let me just read it because I realize my notes are shorthand. It is not to be read. So,
Okay.
So it's talking about like when you're an adult, do you isolate when you're in a difficult situation, and when you're trying to process stuff instead of reaching out and allowing support. Like, how many of us, like, that's just like, reaching out is the healthy thing. Allowing support, if you have healthy support. There's times you're in situations where you like it, reaching out isn't an option for you. And like this kind of goes into that. So about being able to acquire healthy support.
Okay.
So when you're in a situation where things have changed and you do have healthy support, yet you do not reach out, you still self-isolate, you still go in internally and deal with it on your own. Is that like the possibility of, and it's not talking about the issue. This is like going into why you self-isolate, right? Why that's your coping mechanism, and how it can root from. And there's
what it stems
yeah.
from. Okay.
And it was talking about stemming from when you were a child and not having support, not having anyone there for you, being alone, being left alone to deal with your emotions. So not only not having somebody who is physically there, and it could be, because you have somebody who, like a parent or a caregiver who was working all the time, not being neglectful, just to provide, doing the best.
That's a dynamic.
Yeah, they had to be gone. So I'm not saying like everything is a tumultuous. Look, I'm doing my best and I'm going to keep going. So you can go ahead and laugh at me and I'm going to say, oh, it's because I'm cute. But it's also from having parents that are checked out, parents that are going through their own stuff. So they are not able to be there for you, even if they are physically there. And then parents that are toxic and abusive and won't be there for you. Parents that are like, you can't bring things to them because they are hurtful. They use it against you. You're not allowed to have emotions. You're not allowed to feel anything that you feel is an inconvenience to them, because how dare you mess with their energy field? You're not allowed to. Your job is to take care of their energy field, which means if you're caretaking for your parent, you are your own caretaker. You're alone. So when you're an adult and you do have healthy support systems, when it starts to get rough, what do? You're like, oh, you go back to those like what's ingrained, those patterns, and you are caretaking yourself. You are the one that can do it. And then whether or not this stemmed from a childhood and continued into relationships, like it's likely that your first relationships after coming from a traumatic childhood wasn't getting into a healthy relationship. It's likely that you continue those patterns of unhealthy relationships, which further created that, because then you look at the dynamics of now you're in the adult relationship. So you're feeling like somebody, like you might be able to trust somebody, like you're the one that's going to be caretake now for any reason. And you trust somebody. You trust somebody with your emotions. You trust somebody with what you're feeling. And then they like gather it and use it against you. And so here's this dynamic where you thought you could trust, and you started giving this, and they were just gathering for their tool belt to hurt you later, to control you later. So many different ways that could go. Or that could be like your first relationship, right? You had a childhood that didn't build up all this trauma. Anyways, the point of all this is where you were taught that your emotions are unsafe. You were taught that what you're processing, what you're feeling is wrong, shouldn't be shared. It's a nuisance to those around you, or it's a weapon to those around you to use against you and hurt you. You've done the work. You've got out of those situations, and you still self-isolate when things are hard. you still go inward because that's what's safe. And then you even have awareness. That's just how I do it. Or you want to change it, but you can't because you're so scared. So that's you wanna get into that?
Yeah, I just realized my body language signifies otherwise.
It does, very much so. And we don't have to.
No, I want to. I think it's a good topic because I think it's really, really common, right?
Yeah.
As you're describing it and talking about it, we both do it. Like we're both, I was going to say guilty of this, but that makes it sound like you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, we're not
right?
doing anything wrong.
No.
You're not doing anything wrong.
It's just the coping mechanism.
Yeah. It was a survival technique. It's what you learned. It's how you're still here. Like you did it.
Yeah.
You got through it. So now let's look at some healthier ways.
Yeah. Help is not safe.
Right? That's the message. That's the story. That's the story in your head. Not that it's true. It might be. You might be in that situation.
It was very true for me for a very long time.
Same.
Right? Help was not safe. And a lot of that, like I think our generation, Steph and I both were born in the 80s, like that dates us a little bit, but that's fine, obviously.
We call them like with the latchkey kids.
Right. You grew up during the 80s, and so our parents both of our sets of parents worked out of the home and were gone, and so a lot of raising of ourselves. And
I have a note on that too. Like, do you remember latchkey programs?
What do you mean?
That latchkey kids isn't just a term. It was a program. It was an after school program for kids that didn't have, it's like the Boys and Girls Club that didn't have support at home. So they got to do this. But because of where I lived, so there was that program, but I didn't even get to participate in that because it was an inconvenience.
Right.
So they would have to pick me up after, and then they would that information would be known. So I didn't even have that.
Yeah.
So that was available. And I had to even be isolated from that, which, probably was for the best.
A lot of problem solving and dealing with stuff on your own as a child.
Yeah.
And then, so help not only isn't available, and then we both come from family systems and dynamics where not only was it either not available because nobody was around, or it was dangerous to ask for help.
Very.
And the help that was given in very toxic, traumatic, unhealthy ways. So it makes perfect sense that now at our current juncture in our life, in our mid 40s or early 40s, we're early 40s.
We're not yet.
That we
barely.
That
we
it's
just
difficult,
scratched the 40s.
That it's difficult to get help.
Yeah.
That it's difficult to not only ask for help, but to receive help, to accept help, to reach out for help.
Yeah, that's another level.
All of those
Accept
things,
help.
Right. And it's so funny because you and I are both so loving and caring, and like all we want to do is help the other person. And we're so resistant to it.
Yeah.
So let's pick it apart. I think it's a great thing to unpack and uncover.
Here we go.
What is your first, like, when you just think of this topic or this dynamic, what's your first go-to as far as like why it is that you do it? Meaning, why do you not allow help in? Like, what's the first emotion that rises?
The first emotion? Oh, I went to a memory. Okay.
First you can go to a memory for sure.
Well, that's not what you were asking. I just wasn't sure. You're asking what's the first danger? Like, it's panic. Like, no.
Okay.
Like,
stop right there. I don't need help.
Like, I got that. I don't want to pay the price of what your help, and I don't mean your, just like whoever's trying to, is going to cost.
You articulate that to me a lot, though.
Huh? There you go. That's my first emotion with it.
That my help comes at a cost. That letting me in or letting me do anything, you'll then pay for it later on. So we don't have to pick it apart further than that. Like, obviously.
This is panic. I'm like,
right.
There it is.
Suddenly it's triggered now.
I'm in trouble.
Right. Now you're like, I'm going to pay for this later on. So you can see the correlation to where all of that stems from.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to go into all of that. Like, you know where that comes from.
It's like very visceral right now.
Okay.
Like I can feel the sides of my face and my ears tingling, like they lit up, and like my ears are going. I'm feeling like my body temperature, right? Like I'm starting to sweat. I'm over here just and like
I don't love it from the
constricted.
perspective of like
You're like, be scared.
no, I just find it so fascinating,
Right?
the way our nervous system.
It's like, whoa.
So let me see if I can tap into what mine is.
Okay.
Trying to think. It shouldn't be hard because I've been in this state pretty consistently for the past 6 weeks.
Right? I want to help you.
Yeah.
I want to help you figure out what your emotion is.
No, thank you.
What's it feel?
Like fuck off.
Yeah. What else?
Well, that's what I'm trying to feel like, right? That's the initial thing of just like, I'm good. Fuck off. Don't need your help.
Yeah. So anger, maybe?
Well, anger. Anger's the mask, right?
Yeah.
Anger's the thing that covers up underneath. So I'm trying to see what's underneath it.
There you go.
Boy, I don't know. I think for me, a lot of it has to do with worthiness. Where it's like, I'm not worthy of your help. There's components too that are like super weird, where it feels like part of my coping mechanisms that have gotten me through life is, they're very toxic and unhealthy, but it's the idea too that like, and see, I can see where this comes from too, obviously, but it's like you can't help me. And I don't mean that from the perspective of like, you're incapable of it, but it's like, I'm the only one that knows how to fix this problem. Like it's not why would I ask for help from outside sources that can't help me? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm the only one that has the resources available to help myself. So it's like asking for help from somebody, and I'm trying to not say you.
It's okay.
I know, but it's because it's not just you, right? It's a blanket thing where I won't accept help from anything or anyone because I already know what the problem. I mean, it's so obvious, right? Like, I won't go to the doctor. How many times, like, Steph has story after story after story where like Craig breaks something. Like the most recent one that I can think of is like when I rolled my ankle in jiu-jitsu, which was, I mean, it's been like a year now or something. It's been a while, but it was bad. And I'm like, what the fuck am I going to go to the doctor for? Like, I'm not going to get help from the doctor. I'm only going to be told what I already know. And I'm only, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to go get help because I already know everything. You can't give me something that I already have. Like, I already know everything. You can't help me with this problem. I already know what's wrong. So then I just got to do it. I just have to deal with it.
Since we're here,
okay,
can we like stay here for just a minute too?
Absolutely.
Like, because it's deeper than not just going to a doctor.
Yes.
It's like I have such a hard time learning. Like, I can't even suggest things to you.
Right.
Like, you needed a boot. Like, you were
for
like,
that instance.
No, not for that. For another one.
For
right. So when I provide
stairs.
things, when I'm like, here, fine, we're not doing a doctor. You know, it's
Right.
okay. I'm having like, it doesn't. We're good. But if I like wrap it, even just try to put like oils on you sometimes. Like when I bring you something, that is still a suggestion. That is still an offering of help. And it's I struggle with like realizing that equals a default no to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better if I don't suggest anything, because whenever I do, you will automatically resist it. That will not, like, you don't get to give me anything. And so I have to like, it's so hard because I'm like, what? You need like at least this. Let's support your bones. Right. And you're like, I don't need that. I need just like, you can put a pillow under my leg and you can get me ice. That's it. Okay, here you go, buddy.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, that's a level of, it's not just like going, but like anything that comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So let's keep going.
Well, I know where that comes from.
Oh, okay. Where does it come from? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious where it comes from if you're privy to Craig's full story like you are, right? That's exactly where it comes from.
Okay.
So then it's like that's the whole thing too, right? Like this is a perfect example in real time where Craig has, not just Craig, like we've identified the core issue in a sense, right? We know where this thing comes from now.
Yes.
So now, like in my mind, like we'll just look at it from this perspective. Like we have a problem that I could ask for help with, right? Like this would be something that I could talk about in therapy. This would be something that you could definitely help me flesh out and come up with some practices that I could implement in today's like real world, right? Something that we could do. And what I'm like immediately, what's happening inside of me is I'm really uncomfortable. Like somatically, I can feel suddenly my body's very itchy everywhere. And like I want to deflect a bunch. I want to get out of it. And I play it all out like, okay, great. I've identified the issue of why I don't ask for help because I know everything already. When am I going to ask for help when I already know everything? And obviously I don't know everything. Obviously the knowing of everything is the defensive mechanism, right?
Yeah.
It's the way to protect myself. And then I go like, let's go down that rabbit hole a little bit further where it's like this situation itself specifically. Asking for help. I see where it comes from. And just so it's clear, so then people are listening, because it's like you and I keep talking around things and beating around bushes. This stems from my mother. This is learned behavior that I just saw over and over and over and over again. And so this dynamic alone of like not asking for help because you know everything, or you'll just figure it out on your own. And then it's like the next part for me is I play out the scenario of asking for help because I already know the solution. Like I could already say, this is what needs to happen, right? I need to take little steps and practices in asking for help. And I need to sit in this process right now of what this feels like. And like, here's some things that could be done, like all of that stuff. And then, I mean, I do that thing where you're like offering forth advice or recommendations. I do that with everybody, babe. That's not just with you. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like my therapist will definitely do the same thing where he's like, why don't you, maybe this is a good idea. And I'm like, that's a fucking stupid idea. That's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. Why would you suggest that? I already thought of that. And like, here's the idea that you've given me. Great. And then I play that idea out already. So I've already,
you do it in your head.
Well, I've already done it.
Yeah.
That's the story that I tell myself, right? Like, this is how neurotic I am.
Okay.
Where like, if you give me an idea.
Yes.
You're like, maybe this might help with this problem of not asking for help. Like the information comes into me, comes into my brain pan. And it's either something that I've already thought about and gone down the rabbit hole. Like it's already a scenario that I've ran all the way to the end and realized why it won't work. So then I immediately discredit it. Or it's something I haven't thought about and I can't admit that. And I can't acknowledge that.
Okay.
And I can't even pretend like I don't know everything. Because if I pretend like I don't know everything, then I'm weak and I'm susceptible to danger. And then I'm like at risk of like, being hurt.
Yeah.
And so I can't even pretend like you've given me something that I haven't thought of. I will just discredit it already.
Yeah.
So that's what help looks like to me, where it's either something that I've already thought about and I can see where it will take me, right? Like breaking my ankle is a perfect example. Like, why are we going to go to the doctor? And my ankle wasn't broken, but why are we going to go to the doctor and come home with a medical bill that we can't afford, and a boot, and a prescription, and the recommendation to stay off your foot for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, I already know all of that. So let's skip all of that and I'll just deal with it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like the doctor was going to give us some fantastic new thing. He'll be like, I'm so glad that you showed up today. We have this new device that can not only scan your foot and tell us exactly what's wrong with it, but then I push this button and it fixes it immediately. Go ahead. No, please.
No, keep going.
No. I'm just going fast and rambling.
I had insight that I was going to, and I don't know, like okay, fine, we'll do it. I want you to know, like, you are in complete control of this conversation, not of me, but you are in complete control of your participation, whether or not we continue this conversation, how much you share, how much you get into, like, no judgment. You've got the reins.
Yes.
Like, and we can go wherever we go, and we can also not go, right?
Okay.
So we're just like looking at this, taking this one, okay? Not asking for help, not asking. We're going to talk about your ankle, the same ankle. So I'm only privy to injuries to this ankle since I've known you. Okay, I don't have the history beforehand. I imagine that it has its own, because it's the knee. I know the knee was previous, and so I'm, the ankle is like down here too. So the first one that I remember, let's see, how can I do this? How many times can you like think of where your ankle has experienced some trauma?
I don't know, a handful of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I have to like really think about it, right? And I think you're indicating that it's the same ankle. And I don't know if I have enough awareness to say that it's the same ankle.
Yeah.
I'm not denying, I'm not sitting here arguing, but I'm like, is it the same ankle?
Well, my memory of your body is subject, right? So my memory.
It's my left ankle, right?
That's my memory, but it's your body. It's your like, just because that's my memory doesn't mean that that's what it actually is. Yeah, your left ankle.
When I fell down the stairs, was it my left leg?
It was.
Okay.
And also, that's not the first one.
What rather than, I love when you
just want me to get right to the point?
Yeah. It's so hard for me
because it always works when somebody gets you to the point instead of you getting there yourself.
When you're taking me down a path that has a very specific destination that I am like, it's obvious.
Well, it works when I give you the information that I know because you're so willing to receive it. Right? So it's really beneficial if I just give it to you so you can receive it instead of letting you find it on your own, because we know if you find it on your own,
but do you know how annoying that is? Like, you feel the same way, don't you? I'm not like,
oh God, I hate it when you do that. I'm like, you already know this. Why don't you just tell me this bling that you see? Why are you making me sift through this shit that I clearly can't see?
Exactly. You're like, let's take you down this path.
But I listen. I'm willing to accept. And you were like, you already said, like, that's not something. If you want me to, I will. And you can reflect on it later. You can discredit it. It doesn't matter. You're in complete control.
Yeah.
So I remember the first time you came home with your ankle just black and
from the basketball thing.
Yeah. And I was able to convince you to go to a doctor on that one because it was huge.
Yeah.
And it was
a good ankle
so
roll.
many colors. And it was
that the left foot?
It was.
Okay.
And it was in your ankle and it was in your foot. It was like you were like, it was like this. I think we could use some medical intervention. Also, you were at that point, right, in a job where it required you to be on your feet and agile and able.
Yeah, like I was still a cop.
Yes. So we go to the doctor. Oh, and you are mad at me.
What happened?
Oh, I'm not done.
Go ahead.
If you want me to get there, then you got to let me get there.
Okay.
Because maybe my story doesn't end where you think it does.
I'm sure it doesn't.
Okay. So are you going to let me get there? Because we can stop.
Baby, keep going.
So
quit giving me the caveat that we can stop. Well, I'll stop it if I want to stop.
Yeah, you will. You've got control. So you like were angry the whole time, right? You knew what was going to happen. And that's what happened. We went there. They looked at it. They gave you a stupid like blow up boot thing that was just little ankle.
Wasn't it something that you could like stick in the fridge and then wrap around?
So
or
it had
something?
ice therapy because cold therapy doesn't work, right?
It was so funny.
That was it. I was being sorry. That was a passive aggressive thing. Yes, it had cold therapy included, which would help reduce the swelling of your ankle that was not.
It was like a plastic toy. It was so dumb.
So you were very receptive to it.
Yeah.
You tried it.
I tried it for 15 minutes. And I think we threw that fucking thing in the garbage.
So.
And it cost us like $75 or something.
So Craig's version, right? And so we have this. It's not like, I don't know. It's like the only way that you will accept. I don't even think you would if they were like, it's shattered, you need surgery, like pot, all that. But you like had the opportunity, like stay off your foot.
Mm-hmm.
Put this on. You need cold. Like this is not a weight bearing ankle. Let's keep it stabilized. Let's keep cold on it. And you were so angry. Like that was the thing. Like wouldn't even accept it. So I think you wrapped it yourself for a little bit. And then you were even like more angry that you had went to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got back on it. And yeah, you heal it and you keep going. And then there's so much pride in being able to heal. And I think that's great. And then that ankle keeps getting injured. It keeps, and you keep doing it your way, right? Which of course, do it your way. You get to do it your way your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But like what would happen? It's just a curiosity. Like if you allowed some help with it. And like when it happened further, I did want you to go. I thought you needed an ambulance the second time. And you can look at me being eccentric, but if I told the story, the audience would be like,
what second time? The stairs?
The stairs.
That was bad.
It was bad. It was so bad. And
I didn't need an ambulance, but it was bad.
Well, I was like the way you like went into the closet bathroom and like we're locked in there and almost
the closet bathroom. That makes it sound like we have a bathroom in the closet.
It is a bath. It's a half bath.
It's just a little bathroom
that the door opens inside. And while you were going into shock, you went in there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and shut the door. Like there's no way to get to you.
Yeah.
So it was a dangerous situation. And it's not that your, everything worked out, but what your body was going through too, the trauma that your body, it was, like it all worked out, but it was scary. I think there was one before that too. So even then, like I went and found you a boot.
Where are we going with all this, babe?
How many times do you need to keep hurting that and allowing it to not heal completely before you're willing to accept help, allow something in and see if maybe we can stop repeating the same thing that you have to constantly address and constantly do and constantly look at? Like we can keep doing it. I've got your pattern. I know like what I can and can't do to help you with that. And I'm totally fine. But
so the last time I hurt that leg was about a year ago, right?
I don't think it was a year. It might've been.
It was.
Okay. Yes, it was. It was a year ago.
It was about a year ago.
Yeah.
Because it was after the jiu-jitsu tournament.
Yes, it was.
Which I think was in like October or something.
No, it wasn't. It was in...
Was it in November?
I think it was late November.
Yeah.
Because we had to make arrangements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so... So then my ankle I hurt, last time I heard it was December, January.
It was like warmer weather when you heard it, I believe. I might be wrong. My memory
Could
doesn't mean,
could have been springtime. So maybe it's
been
less than a year.
Yeah. Or, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter.
Right?
I see what you're saying though. Right.
You wouldn't even let me drive home.
With
on that. I don't like, you were like, or I don't remember, maybe you did. I don't remember that. There's so many times it's like you're driving and I'm like, why are you heard it another time and you wouldn't let anybody help you change a flat tire in the mud.
That wasn't my ankle though. Okay. So what we're highlighting, like this is the thing that I think is really interesting is we can take a pause here for a moment and pull out of this because this behavior that you're describing from me is super masculine. Like I'm sure there's people that are listening that can relate. Like I'm sure that there's women that are listening that can totally relate to husbands doing this type of behavior.
Of course, right?
Where they're like, I don't need any help. It's fucking fine. Leave me alone. I'll deal with it. Blah, blah, blah. Super masculine.
Yeah.
Very, very common.
And what's the thing though? What you do in one area is...
Hold on.
Okay.
And it gets labeled a bunch of different ways.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It gets labeled a bunch of different ways and it gets viewed a bunch of different ways. And I'm not speaking for every person out there that behaves this way
Mm-hmm.
or every man that has this type of personality.
Yeah.
But for me, this stems from being a little kid.
Yeah.
This stems from being a little boy.
Mm-hmm.
This comes from early childhood. What?
I felt a sneeze coming and I was
Oh,
getting ready
no.
to turn away from the mic.
Did you
but
get your tissues?
I did. They're right here. So they
Okay.
were nothing, but they went away. So now I just feel like a balloon.
So I am behaving as a grown man and as a grown adult the same way that I would have behaved if I was 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old.
Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes I think it's beneficial to remember that.
Yeah.
And the idea that I am going to behave otherwise is also, I think, important to remember. It's not like, trying to think, because I'm trying to advocate for myself and I'm trying to advocate for all the other people out there that do this thing where, yes, it's stubborn. Yes, it's an unwillingness to accept help. Yes, it's, all of these different things that we can label it. Yes, it's all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a hurt little boy. It's a little boy that got hurt if he asked for help. It's a little boy that didn't have any examples of how to do things other than this way. It's a little boy that was alone and had to figure things out for himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about this before. Like, if you don't teach kids how to tie their shoes, they're going to learn how to tie their shoes, but they're going to be the ones that are teaching themselves. And they're going to be like all fucked up knots, right? They're going to tie their shoes in these really weird ways because they weren't taught how to tie their shoes. This is the same thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't taught how to do anything in regards to this space.
Yeah.
So I'm modeling what I'm seeing and then also what I had to figure out on my own. And help was just not there.
Yeah.
So it makes perfect sense why I behave the way that I behave.
It totally does.
Now, as far as like, we can zoom out and I have a part of me that's like an adult now and can kind of see the bigger picture and I can see the correlation. When I'm hurt or when I get hurt, I'm going to be in an activated state, right? I'm in a fight or flight response. Trying to change things in a fight or flight response in the moment, come on, it's damn near impossible, right? It's really, really difficult. So I'm trying to think now, because you're like, how many times does this have to happen to your left ankle or left foot or left leg or whatever before you ask for help? So this is once again a good example of, I'm like, okay, what I think is important to look at is, because you and I both have this belief as well, that it's happening to my left leg for a reason. Like, it's that there is significance to my left leg.
Yeah.
So that would be the part that I would need help with, because like if I roll my ankle tomorrow, I'm going to do it the same way.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm going to go to the doctor and get that stupid shitty boot that does nothing. Right. I'm going to lay in bed, throw a bag of ice on it and just hobble around for the next couple of weeks until it's better. Like, that's what I'm going to do if I do it again. But I think what's more important is to look at why it's happening to my left leg over and over and over again. And that's the part that I can't see.
Well, like how we started this conversation of what you learned, like you just like completely like confirmed that what you learned as a child on how to isolate is, here you go. It's why we're isolating as adults. We're not getting help. We're not allowing it in. All the reasons it doesn't feel safe for you. So then when we talk about your leg, which is just, it keeps happening for the emotional reason. And it's not necessarily that you need to do it differently if you hurt your ankle. It's like how, because when you're doing that with physical pain, of course, like that makes sense that that's how it's going to continue with emotional pain. So emotional pain, and when you're processing and hurting and not letting anybody in, and like, I will take care of this, it's also easier to conceal than when you have a, your insides are hurting, your heart is hurting, but it's not a visible huge ankle. It's not a visible like shift in your shin bone. It's not a visible swollen. It's not something that the outside world can see and hone in on and want to help you.
Mm-hmm.
So you can take that with your emotions and self-isolate and still do that. So your leg is just like a perfect, like let's put a physical description on it and pull it out front and focus on the leg as to use this like, oh, let's look at how that would look emotionally. Like you also like have the awareness of, what your body needs, how to heal your body.
Mm-hmm.
Like yours, it's not listening to what the doctors tell you. Like you're also your own best.
Hold on, we gotta slow down.
Okay.
Because you said something about like the physical pain.
Yeah.
I would channel emotional pain, like I would convert emotional pain into physical pain, because I could deal with the physical pain more than I could with the emotional pain.
Mm-hmm.
Physical pain is something that I can deal with. And what I mean by that is it's like controllable. Like it didn't really ever matter to me how intense or how hard or how painful physically things were. That was a palpable thing that was like, I could deal with it. I could manage any level of physical pain.
You could gain your control back.
I could control it for sure, right? Where it's like, it literally did not matter. And it always was escalated. Like I would always escalate physical pain too. I would always push it further and further, where it wasn't a matter of like, because all the self-harming stuff that I would do just escalated, where like I would burn myself. And so I would like the lighter thing where I would burn myself with a lighter. Initially it was just like, scared of the pain of it, but then I would get the lighter hotter and hotter and hotter and like burn it longer and longer and longer on my body. So yeah, that's a component of all of this stuff that we're talking about right now, where it's like, physical pain I can control. And emotional pain I don't have any control over. Help me, because I'm feeling lost. This feels significant. And I can feel the importance of what I'm hearing and kind of connecting and feeling, but it almost feels like it's too much.
Does it feel like it's too much, or does it feel like there might be another component?
Oh, for sure, right?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is there a part of your physical pain, and is it like your roar?
My roar.
What's a roar designed to do?
Scary, like make you seem bigger than you are and push people away.
Keep you safe.
Safe.
Show your strength. Your roar's big enough, you won't have to.
You won't have to what?
If your roar's loud enough, big enough, then it stops the threat before it becomes something too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, goodness, babe. It feels like it's drifting away now. What you said sounded like it had significance.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I can feel it anymore, or feel where this, like...
Sometimes it's okay to let that wave ride and allow it to come back when it's there. That might be enough for right now.
Yeah, but you know me, I'm like, no, I want it right now.
You want to roar? You want it to hurt?
I don't... No, I want to understand. I want to understand what's happening. I want to understand...
So we look at the multifaceted and the synchronistic events of each. We have emotional pain, physical pain. We look at the control of the environment, the outcome of what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have control, you are not being hurt.
Mm-hmm.
When you have control, you're not showing vulnerability. When you show vulnerability, the story is people then hurt. They get to hurt. They can come in. And that stems from very young. So when you take your control, you're protecting your emotions. And also, like, I know many stories that we have talked about of where you show, like, this is how strong I am. You can't hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
So much of that roar vocalizes, you can't hurt me. You can't hurt me. Was that little boy being safe and protected? So in a situation that you are not in anymore, body doesn't know that. Oh, boy doesn't know that. It knows how to roar. And the longer it goes, that bigger that roar is. And the more safe that roar feels. And to take that away feels even bigger of a threat,
Mm-hmm.
just because it's been in place for so long.
Okay.
Like, what if you don't need to be punished by yourself or others? What if you don't deserve to be punished by yourself or others?
Yeah.
Like, even hearing that, what does that bring up? Because I felt a whoosh.
I'm just feeling a lot of, like, uncomfortable, like...
So a pattern that I see that comes up is when you've gone vulnerable like this, and when you've looked at something, your shadow has a way of flipping it to where you use it as a way to punish yourself, show yourself that this is why you're wrong. This is why you don't deserve love. This is why you deserve pain. This is why, and then also the projection comes on of making it others' fault, just to self-isolate further. So are you able to stay in this moment with compassion for yourself? Like, really hearing, like, you haven't done anything wrong. You are not wrong.
Yes. Yeah, I can intellectually understand that, right? It's really resonating, the whole idea of, like, just using all of that pain tolerance and the intensity of pain tolerance and the outward display of pain tolerance as a way to kind of, like you said, it's something that's controllable. It's something that I can use to protect myself from all the emotions of stuff.
Can I ask you another question?
Mm-hmm.
This might be a reach. Can you connect intense physical injuries happening when you're feeling intense emotional pain?
Probably. I mean, it would be hard to, do you know what I mean?
Pinpoint trauma points?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can remember, I can remember intense physical pain. Like I broke. How funny would it be if it's my left fucking leg? It probably was. It probably was my left fucking leg. But I broke it in like first grade. And I wasn't even in a cast. I was in like a half cast. Like it wasn't a full break. I remember doing it. I was outside playing, and it was next door, Auntie Rue's house. They used to have like this metal stake in the corner of their house, right by the corner of their house. And I came running around the corner at like full speed and ran right into that metal stake. And so like my shin ran right into it. And so I was in a cast with crutches for a little bit, but it was like a half cast where it would just like support the back of your leg. So it didn't completely encase my leg. It was weird. So it was like a half cast type thing. Like I said, I don't even know, right? But I feel like that was first grade. I almost am certain that was like first grade. And I remember taking pride over the idea that it wasn't actually broken. Like that's how strong I was, that it wasn't even broken. That it was just kind of half broken or whatever, hairline fracture or something like that. Which is the same reaction that I had when I fell down the stairs. And I was prideful that it wasn't even broken. So your question is, can I correlate traumatic physical experiences to like emotional traumatic experiences and or trauma? Probably, right? I don't know, babe. I'd have to probably really think about that and don't necessarily want to do that work on the podcast.
Yeah. I see that.
But probably. It's hard because like when was my life not traumatic, right? When was childhood not connected in some way, shape, or form to something traumatic? So it's like, yeah, of course there was physical pain in conjunction with trauma because it was a trauma-filled life. So that's my coping mechanism for asking for help. That's how I figured out how to do it as a little boy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how can I shift and change that as a man today?
Do you have to shift it right now?
Yes, we've got
3
minutes before this episode is over.
Right now, all you need to do is be curious about it. Watch how it shows up. Watch how you
I keep
feel.
asking for help.
There you go.
I've recently gotten really comfortable asking the universe for help. That's a big shift for me.
That's huge.
Although as of late, it might not seem so, but I ask you for help a lot. And I receive that help from you a lot.
You're doing a really, really good job.
I still go to therapy. That's a challenging thing for me.
All of these huge, huge things you were doing.
Yeah. Don't give me too much praise right now.
I would never.
I feel super stupid.
Do you?
Yeah. I feel really, really dumb right now.
I hate that.
I feel like we had a really good conversation and a really good topic for this podcast and for this episode, and instead it just turned into me I don't know.
We stayed on topic. And we gave relatable examples. Like you talked about how that expressed. We stayed on topic the whole time.
Fucking hate this.
Yes. You did a really good job. You like dove in. You did a really good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know for sure, like your question of did physical, like I know for sure that my reaction to emotional discomfort, like right now, I don't feel good.
Wow.
Right.
It stirred up some stuff. Yeah.
Definitely activated and emotionally triggered. And I flashed to like punching things when I was a kid and when I was a teenager, where it was like one of my favorite things to do. I worked at McDonald's, and they have a big walk-in freezer. And those walk-in freezers are like metal, right? They're made out of like big metal door and like the inside of the freezer itself, same thing. It's just this big metal box. And I would go in there and I would just punch those, like the walls of that freezer or that door as hard as I could. And it was cool because, see, this is me saying it's cool. It's not cool. It's really sad. But that's what I would do to deal with emotion, was I would hit things really hard, punch things really hard. And that would be a point of pride. But yeah, that's sad. What should we do now? Let's do something else.
Let's do something else.
Let's end this fucking shit show.
Let's end it. So like, how does this like relate to you? Is this a physical thing? Are you able to
we
see
never
it
even
in your
talked
partner?
about you.
Well, that can be another podcast.
I was trying to immediately deflect and go towards you.
Yeah.
Be like, let's look at you and help.
Yeah. Well, we can do that later.
I actually want to tell you this. I've been meaning to tell you this.
Okay.
Say this to you, and I might as well just say it now because it came back to my mind, right?
Okay.
I am so incredibly impressed with how well you are actively healing, and like all the work that you're doing and all the things that you're doing and all like the level with which you have, it seems like you have leveled up your game of caring about yourself and taking care of yourself and doing it in a really loving, caring way. And I think it's amazing.
Thank you.
I'm really, really proud of you. Like, it's a beautiful thing to watch, and it's a beautiful thing to kind of get to witness. And yeah, your self-love and your self-care and the way that you have, like I said, it just feels like you've leveled up with that. And it's really, really neat.
Thank you. Thank you for seeing me and supporting me. That feels really good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was going to be silly about, let's look at how you ask for help, but you actually do. And you do a really good job of receiving it.
It's a work in progress.
Right.
Still it's a work in progress.
Right.
I'm practicing. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Now you can wrap the show.
And I can wrap the show?
Yeah.
Like maybe that's something this will open conversations for you, like with yourself, even just like getting curious. Like, how does that apply? How can you see it in different areas of your life? Are you able to grab that emotional block, or how you will not ask for it emotionally right off the bat? Do you see it manifest in physical ways, maybe with things with the house, things with kids, things with work, things with your physical health? Like there's so many different ways that we are able to bring out an outside manifestation, an outside physical representation of protecting our insides, that we can work there and project it there without even knowing, to keep the insides safe and secluded and in the shadow. So this is like, I invite you to be willing to look at it, get curious, and just bring awareness. It's not something that you have to, it's not a search and destroy, a seek out and like, I must fix it right now. It would be great, but let's start practicing and seeing if we can identify the ways that shows up in our lives, and seeing where you can witness it happening and watch how your body and your mind react, the thoughts that come up, the stories that you tell yourself on what you should and shouldn't do in that point, of how your physical body reacts and what your reactions are to it, without having to change anything at this point. Just get curious, see if you can start to observe and notice where it's showing up in your life. And I would invite you to also write it down because there's so many times that for me personally, I will have it come up and I'm like, there, got it. Checkpoint. I'll remember. And then off to something. I never remember. So that's like another like little ego shadow trick of, look at you bringing awareness to it. And then we won't have to look at that again. We'll just tuck it back inside. So see what comes up for you. Reach out if you want some help with that.
Tune in next week for more.